26 years ago, Misaki died in an accident. She had been popular since 7th grade, but after starting the 9th grade, she suddenly died. Everyone was completely shocked, but then, someone pointed Misaki's desk and said, "Misaki is not dead. Look, she is right there." Since 9th grade, Class 3 continued acts as if Misaki was still alive. They continued the acts until graduation. But sadly, this story didn't end here. Sakakibara Koichi was hospitalized and his aunt and grandmother came to visit him. Referring to a building, her aunt said that you are going to study in that school. It is called Yomiyama North Junior School. He was discharged from the hospital that day. As he was going home, he met a girl from Yomiyama School. She was holding a doll. Koichi asked her what is her name. She replied,
Mei. Misaki, Mei.
The next day, Koichi goes to school and finds Misaki sitting on the last bench, but he hadn't found Misaki since lunchtime. In the afternoon, when he was with Sakuragi, he asked her,
ほら、美咲さんは？美咲メイっていう女の子。
When he looked up at the sky, he saw Misaki standing on the roof of the building. He went to ask her what she was doing. He also asked her what she was doing in the hospital that night. She replied that something bad happened that day, but then Misaki said something terrible.
あなたは榊原浩一。間違いない？
うん。
クラスのみんなから何も言われない？
何を？
あなたの名前は死を連想させるから。
She warned him not to come near her and left. The next day, he met Misaki in the library room. She was drawing a doll. When he started talking to her, his school librarian, Shibiri, asked him to go to the classroom. At the night, he went to the hospital to meet Sana Mizuno. She was the nurse in charge of Koichi's care during his stay at Yomiyama Hospital. She was also Takaru Mizuno's older sister. He asked her if anyone had died on the day he was discharged, and also asked her about Misaki. Mizuno said that she would tell him when she had news about it. After his class ended, he tried to follow Misaki. He saw Misaki walking down a narrow street, but when he got that place, she wasn't there. When he tried to find her, he saw an old building where a doll was sitting. When he stood in front of that building, he suddenly got a call from Mizuno. She said that she got to know the name of the person who died on the day Koichi was discharged, and she said the dead person's name was Misaki. After that, he decided to enter the building. Upon entering, he realized it was a doll shop. While visiting the shop, he went to the underground room to see more dolls, but he saw a beautiful doll placed there who looked like Misaki. Then Misaki came from behind the doll and said this doll is half or less of her. Koichi didn't understand what she meant, so Misaki said that she would show him what was under the eye patch. After removing the eye patch, Koichi noticed that her left eye was artificial, which came from a doll. Misaki then tells him the story of what happened 26 years ago. She said after graduation, everyone gathers in their classrooms for a class photo. But when they looked at the photos, there was a girl who wasn't supposed to be theirs. Her face was deadly pale, and she was the dead student, and her name.
美咲っていう名前だったの。
Misaki was about to tell him more about the story, but suddenly Koichi got a call from his grandmother, so he left. The next day, when he asks Sakuragi about Misaki, she's suddenly scared and tells him not to mention that name in class 3. And when he asked Noya about what happened 26 years ago, he suddenly changed his mood and became serious. They both realized that Koichi already knew about it. Just as their teacher arrived, Sakuragi told her that Koichi already knew about the first year's incident. Their teacher said try to keep it as quiet as possible. That night, Koichi couldn't stop thinking about what happened in the morning and asks his auntie about this. His auntie says she has no memory when she was in class 3, but suddenly started acting strange and said he will understand when time comes. And she told him that her mother was also in section 9 class 3, who died the day Koichi was born. The next day when he was going somewhere with Kazami, he saw Misaki standing on the roof, so he went to her to find out the other half of the story. But Kazami also notices her and tells Naoya about it. And Naoya called Koichi and said,
何を？ 言ってるんだ。
On his exam day, Koichi finished the exam quickly and went out. He saw Misaki standing there. This time, he directly asked her why all the students and teachers are acting like you don't exist. And she replied,
いないものだから。
いいか榊、いないものの相手をするのはよせ。
そんな。
やばいんだよそれ。
At that moment, someone came and called Sakuraji for an emergency. She took her umbrella and started going out, but she suddenly saw Koichi and Misaki together and tried to run in the opposite direction. But she fell down the stairs, her umbrella flew out of her hand and impaled her throat. After hearing the noise, Koichi and that other person came to see what happened, but they found Sakuraji writhing in pain. And after some time, she died by bleeding. But she was not the only one who died on that day, but also her mother died in an accident. The next day, Koichi meets Mizuno and tells her to ask his brother about Misaki. Mizuno agrees and Koichi returns home. But something unfortunate happened in his school. Everyone acted strange to him and most of the students didn't even want to see him. He calls Naoya and asks him to meet him at the playground. Both Naoya and Akazawa came together to him. They were about to start talking, but Koichi suddenly got a call from Mizuno. Mizuno told him that she asked his brother about Misaki, but he suddenly scared and said that there was no one named Misaki in his class. Then Mizuno went to the elevator while talking about Misaki, but when she was in elevator, the sheaves holding the cable came loose, and the elevator began to move downward at high speed, and then Thanks for watching. I'll tell you rest of the story in next video, so please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.